Hey guys, it's Kevin. Today is an advanced topic on how to unclogging Epson ET-8550. So I expect you to know how to remove side panels and scanners. If you don't know how to do it, search my channel. Lots of you ask after I convert to DTF, how should I get the ink into my printhead? And how can I effectively clean my printhead? Basically, you just want the ink start flowing inside the printhead. So to do that, sucking from the bottom is better than pushing from the top. If you didn't completely skip your high school, you might remember the Bernoulli's principle. Basically, that's how the hydraulic jack works. You want moving the liquid from the tiny nozzles instead of pushing from a large surface area, which is the ink intake, and squeeze ink through the nozzles. It's always better if you can suck underneath. High pressure can damage the printhead two ways. One is Epson is a piezojet, where we're using a thin membrane, and high pressure will damage that membrane. And also, the different ink chambers, there are different colors, they separate the membrane too. So if you have high pressure, the ink reservoir going to burst. Then you get all the colors mixing together, and people call that delamination. So when you clean your printhead, then you find that when you push one color in, ink coming out from another color. That's a sign that all the membranes are ruptured and all the inks mixed together. Okay, how to suck. So you can turn your printer on and let the printhead set on top of your capping station. When you sit there, the capping station is sealed, the printhead, airtight. And then underneath the capping station, there's a tube going into the waste tank. Therefore, if you pick up the tube from the waste tank and use a syringe sucking from it, you're basically sucking from the printhead. So this way, if you have a minor clog, you can suck the clog out. And also the same method, you can fill up your damper and get your printer ready to print. However, with this method, you still can delaminate printhead if the pressure is high enough. And if you draw from the syringe too fast, you can also damage the printhead. Okay, it's better to quantify this. And for example, if I put this, I want to know how much pressure I pulled. Usually I suggest people use 5 ml syringe, not like this. This is 10 ml syringe. It's really hard to pull really high pressure with 5 ml, but still 5 ml, you still can damage your printhead if you pull too fast. I always tell people, as gentle as your grandma raising a peach. However, I realize everybody's grandma is different. There are some grandmas, they just violent. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to quantify it and not delaminate your printhead like a gangster grandma. We're going to get this pressure gauge kit from BCH Technologies. You can find it by just searching pressure gauge. First, we want to free the printhead carriage from the capping station. Push the capping station to the right a little bit, and then rotate the paper feed gear by pulling this belt towards you. Pull it a couple times, and your capping station can be freed. And when it's freed, make sure this gear is all the way to the left. Now get a size 1 Phillips screwdriver. Make sure you get a magnetic head and remove 3 screws. Here's the second one. And here's the third one. It's pretty deep, so you better have a magnetic screwdriver. And now slowly push the capping station to your right, and now you can remove the capping station. Let's take a look. This short tube is where the waste tank sucked the ink in. if we want to measure the pressure, we want to measure the pressure right here. You can see it's composed by two tubes, and there's a smaller tube, then there's a larger tube. Your kit includes two extension tubes. They're the same tubes. So just pick one and start inserting to the smaller tube. Now we extended the smaller tube. And for the larger tube, we need a straight connector. So put a straight connector on and find the larger tube and insert to the larger tube. So we're going to put our measuring device between those two tubes. However, when we're not measuring, we can just have a straight connector connected to two tubes like this. Okay. Right now, we do want to measure the, so we remove the bypass connector and now the cabin station back to the printer. And remember here, line up with the white gears rod. And there it is. And then we reinstall the 3 screws. And here's the 2 extensions we installed. Again, when you're not measuring the pressure, just put a straight bypass connector between the 2 tubes. Now we're going to connect the pressure adapter. Basically, you got the 2 tubes, and that's basically a straight pass-through. And then the other end, there's a single nipple. That nipple is going to connect to your pressure gauge. The pressure gauge will have a battery included, so you don't have to buy batteries. It's AAA. You should see KPA here, KPA. And if it's not on that unit, you can change the unit by pressing the unit. And they'll have a whole bunch of unit. And you just keep pressing it, it'll loop back to the KPA. You may have already seen the first usage of this device, which is after you install a new cabin station, you want to see if you install correctly and if it can draw vacuum when you run the cleaning. And secondly, you want to see what's the pressure that Epson uses when it does the cleaning. So we just took the cabin station out and put it back. Now we want to run a cleaning to see if we install the cabin station correctly. We go to maintenance and we'll hit the Printhead cleaning, click OK, and pay attention to the gauge reading. Once the Printhead is on the cabin station, I will start sucking. And right now it's 0.5, and you can see now it's 5, and 2, 11, 7. That tells you the cabin station is installed correctly. And also, because Epson doesn't want to damage their printhead when they do the cleaning, so the suction should be below 10. You can see the Epson create a vacuum about 10, and then it just put the printhead on the cabin station just and wait, and let the pressure slowly drop to 2 and do a 10 again, and then just wait until I drop to the 2 again. And that should give you an idea when you clean the printhead manually and manage the pressure. Okay, let's talk about the power cleaning. Power cleaning is super scary cleaning. You should not do it unless you just give up all the hopes for your printhead. Epson will give you warnings after warnings and tell you don't do this, and do not do it within 12 hours of each other. We convert printers for our customers, and there was one customer after we converted, we did test print, everything's good. We sent to her. She did a test print, the white didn't come out, and instead of do a sucking, she decided to do the power cleaning. We said, don't do it. If you really want to do it, don't do it within 12 hours. Guess what? She waited 18 hours, run it, kill the printer, and the shape blend mask say we didn't convert it correctly. Anyway, so when you do the power cleaning, it gives warnings after warnings and the confirmations after confirmations. And look, confirm. Are you sure you're going to kill a printhead? And yes. Are you sure? Are you sure? And yes. And after that, it asks you to hold down the OK for 5 seconds and press and hold. If you run things like this scary, and you pretty much give up all hopes for your printhead. Anyway, so we run this. So just for the record, so you can see what's the pressure pattern on the printhead. You can see it's running on 10 for a long time. Not like when you run the regular cleaning, you go to 10 temporarily, then you drop down, do a 10, then drop down. This one just continuously. I have recorded this for you so you don't have to run it. So just for you to understand, even for power cleaning, Epson's trying to keep the pressure under 10 kilopascal. And so it seems 10 is a cutoff value. You don't want to go above 10, and you don't want to keep around 10 for a long time. Like 5 is pretty safe, I'll say. So when you do the manually, and if you can keep at 5, that'll be perfect. There should be no damage to the printhead. And now, with that knowledge, and now I can safely and effectively clean my printhead. I know exactly what pressure I'm going to put on the printhead. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Visit us at bchtechnologies.com or locally at Greensboro, North Carolina. Cheers. Okay, let it go until it drops to 2.